Hey everyone, welcome to Morethanmeetstheseguys. This podcast is a journey through Transformers from the beginning of the anime series with two old friends coming at it from different perspectives. Together we will go episode by episode with the occasional extra to look at how the show holds up, or if it is a trap of nostalgia. We'll be looking at all things involved in the episode, whether there were real world factors that crept into the writing, or if the episode was typical afternoon cartoon fodder. I'm Evan, I'm the lifelong fan who's familiar with all aspects of the franchise, while Ed here is familiar with Transformers, but it was really nothing he got into when he's younger. So thanks for being here, everyone, and welcome. Hey, Ed, how you doing, man?
I'm doing very well today. There are a lot of real world factors that crept into this episode, though. I'm gonna go ahead and get that out of the way
What do
now.
you mean, like
But
fish? Like a jam band?
I don't. It wasn't even fish, dude. We're gonna get to that though. We're gonna because before we get, there's a lot to talk about. This is the polar opposite of the last episode because the last episode there was nothing going on and it was a very boring episode of our show as well. And this is the exact opposite because there's 8 million things going on in this episode
Yeah,
to discuss. As a matter of fact, I can't even do a normal detour to start off this week because normally I sit here and rant about something that's unrelated, and I don't even know. I don't even know if I have time for that this week. Do you have time for that? Do you have time to talk about?
well, I mean, I got to get something off my chest. So,
Okay.
yeah, I was filming this like a day later because I had to go down to Navarre Beach to do some science experiment lab, which is kind of cool. So I was
So let me ask you. Well, you were down on the shore doing science. Did
yeah,
Decepticons show up and start blowing you up? Because
weirdly
that's
not. I mean, that you'd think so because I mean, you would think there's some green energy. Someone probably had solar panels out there. They would like tap into that green energy, but no, they did not show up. The only thing that showed up were some beetles, some bees, and some butterflies.
did they
So,
transform into something else?
oh, I wish, man, that would have been really cool. The
It would have been a lot cooler if they did.
Yeah, tons cool. So, yeah, man, I was like, okay, so this past week, I frequent a lot of the Transformers groups because yeah, I'm a big Transformers nerd. And someone, I'm not going to name this guy. I'm not going to name blast him or anything like that. He probably won't even realize I'm talking about him. I don't even remember, actually. I don't remember what his name is because I don't care that much. But he was like saying like, so I got this Starscream because they did a re-release, they did like a retro re-release thing with the new paint apps to match the 1986 movie, which we will get to eventually. So he's like, this is just kind of terrible, man. He has fists you got to put on, and he has wings that come off, and he's just kind of small. He's just like, okay, now this is not Starscream. This is Skywarp. Same exact mold, different colors. This is a 43-year-old figure.
Those
43
are the
years old.
wrong. Those are the
This is
wrong fists for him, aren't they?
no, there aren't. These
I
are
thought he had
purple.
purple fists.
Purple. These are purple.
Oh, they
Sorry,
look gray, and they look gray
I'm sorry.
in my feed here.
Man, I don't know why.
Let me clarify this though. So
Yes.
there's a re-release of Starscream.
Yeah, he's in like Walmart stores. He's like a Walmart exclusive thing. It's like it's safety missiles and stuff, so they're like huge and stuff, so you don't swallow them, I guess. So I'm like,
But no, it's the original mold though. It's the original like
yeah,
80 like early 80s mold.
except for the missiles, yes, original mold.
And he's mad that's a bad toy.
He's mad that a 43-year-old toy does not like have dynamic poses. It doesn't like look like a Spawn posable figure, which that's another thing. So I'm thinking like, okay, dude, you're mad about this toy that's this old, and you don't understand why it's not better. And this is a purposeful re-release of a 43-year-old toy. And I thought about it. Like I was actually looking through the box a few minutes ago because I since I've been getting things out of my old storage, I'm looking through things. I'm like, let's see what's in here. Lots of cool stuff. I kept a lot of weird things from collecting over the years. But I came across this guy right here. He is a B-wing pilot. See this guy? He's wearing a red leisure suit with a black vest with like metal stuff on his chest. And he's got this helmet looks like he's a cosmonaut.
It is very
happy.
it is very Russian, yes.
Yeah, he's so happy. You see this expression on his face. That was something that was also that was, we'll say, like 45 to 50 years ago. That was a very great these toys were like these capture the imagination of kids.
That figure is actually exactly 40 years old. He's Return of the Jedi only.
Okay, that's true. Actually, your point. So this
Did you know that he has the rarest gun in all of Star Wars?
You told me a little while ago with this. I've got to find the gun because I have it somewhere. Apparently, Ricky Smith did not know what he had.
That guy comes up once again.
Yes, Ricky Smith, the amazing Ricky Smith. I got most of my Transformers from the store because I worked inventory and stuff all the time, and I used store credit because he couldn't afford to pay me. So, which is better. Actually, I think I made that better.
I think
So
you probably did. Yeah, because the money that you made is actually worth less now than it would have been then.
Yeah, you're not
But
wrong.
all the Transformers that you earned were
I actually
actually.
have a B-wing from him too because of that.
I got a B-wing from that. It was one of the first things I bought when I started collecting toys as an adult. Was a B-wing from him. I always wanted that when I was a kid.
Yeah, I saved up my store credit and got a B-wing from him and the B-wing pilot. And this guy here is Chewbacca.
That's 95. That's Power of the Force.
So that is a figure that is, what was that, 10 years later?
95, so that would have been 12 years after
12 years. Okay, yeah, so yeah, 12 years later.
So to clarify, for those of you who are not watching on the YouTube feed,
you should watch YouTube.
These are the 90s like beefed up Star Wars dudes.
Yeah, they look like they were definitely juicing. So there's no big change. I mean, there's a waist. That's the only thing that changed with these figure. So but we were okay with these toys for how many years, and they were dynamic. They captured our imaginations. I posit that like a Starscream or a Skywarp or a Thundercracker or Optimus Prime that did this. This was enough to capture our imaginations for years. But this guy online is going like, it's not really as good as what it comes out now. Well, of course it's not, because this is 40 years later, man. So it kind of makes me, I still every so often will get something that's really cool, and they can more dynamic pose now. It's just how things work. But really, I feel like, God, I'm gonna sound like the guy on his watering his lawn in his Bermuda shorts, like, hey, get off my lawn. But this is something that really it kind of strikes the fact that we can't enjoy things that aren't set up to enjoy for us, which you and I can. You and I come from a time, many other people, maybe people listen, aside from a few, can come from a time where we had, really janky brick of a toy, but we loved it because of that. We loved everything about it. And, I feel like there's a, besides the get off my lawn moment, there's a really cool thing. Like, we were forced to imagine more with it. And maybe it made it better. I don't know. So, have you come across anything with, like, I know you have your son Logan. Does he get into things that maybe you have to have something more dynamic, or does he appreciate things the way they are?
He never, when it comes to toys, he never really engaged with action figures very much. He had some of those some Star Wars figures that were like the kids ones, like the Fisher Price ones, the real kind of super deformed ones. I think he had some of those and like a Millennium Falcon and a couple of ships, and he played with those a little bit, but mostly he plays with swords. he likes to play with swords and Lego gun, Legos and Nerf guns. Those are the things that he likes to play with, and I think, and to be honest, I think that's the kind of the average for kids these days. I don't think that action figures are much of a thing anymore across the board. As I read a thing, I think we've talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where I think I read a thing where like most action figure sales are actually to adults. And I think they're mostly to collectors and people that do like action figure photography and that kind of thing. Shout out to my friend 850 Sith Lord, who is an amazing toy photographer. Nice. Yeah, check him out on Instagram, 850 Sith Lord, like the Star Wars dudes. But speaking of Star Wars, is Ahsoka the most divisive series in all of Star Wars? Have you?
Yes, and it is. I like it though, because it seems very fantasy.
It does seem very fantasy. It's okay. I didn't dislike it. I dislike things about it, but there's people that are just mad about that show. They're like, oh, Disney's gonna go down in flames, and there's people that I know, people that are rational adults that just love it. That, like a couple of good friends of mine talk about it, and they're like that. They think it's great because they're big fans of
Jehu and his podcast, aside from one of the guys on there, they love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I didn't think I didn't think it was great, but the thing is, I came into it really lost because I never watched Rebels or Clone Wars really, and this show really needs you to watch Clone Wars in Rebels, especially Rebels, to really understand what's going on, because there's a lot of dun dun dun, this dude is back moments, and I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. And it also has, and I'm going to go ahead and drop this bomb here, that it's got Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is possibly the worst Star Wars character of all time.
I know you hate those books.
I loathe those books. I think those books are awful.
This is one of the times you and I are going to diverge, because I love
I
those
don't think
books.
Timothy Zahn's a good writer, and I think that Thrawn is a total Mary Sue written by a guy that does not like Star Wars. And he's this, oh, my superpower is logic, and like, look how much smarter I am than the main characters of these movies that you love. I hate it. I cannot stand it. I think he's a dumb character. I think he's boring. And the other problem is they have who's the bad guy from The Mandalorian? Giancarlo Esposito's character.
Oh, that guy, I remember him vaguely. I can't, like, he had the dark saber thing. I can't remember his
that
name.
Guy's great, and
I didn't really like him that much.
He's a great actor. He looks kind of like Darth Vader. He's super cool, and he's a total bad guy. Great villain. He could have been like the overarching villain through all the Star Wars TV shows. So it's great. He's really good. But they also had the woman, the witch on Ahsoka, who is Bruce Lee's goddaughter, and she was a great villain, and they could have kept her around.
I don't really know anything about her at all, so.
She is Dan Inosanto's daughter, who is the guy that created Jeet Kune Do with Bruce Lee back in the late 60s, early 70s. Okay. Who was Bruce Lee's best friend, and is but she is Bruce Lee's like goddaughter or something like that. Okay. But yeah, so like she would have been a great villain, but no, I got this blue dude with bad CG who's, look how much smarter I am than everybody else. I'm 4 steps ahead. Like
the whole thing with Thrawn is he was supposed to be someone who thinks very tactically, and whereas everyone's very emotional in Star Wars, everything's big emotions, my father, my son, but he's like, I don't care about any of that. I'm very tactical. I think 3 steps ahead. He's a chess player, which is not very exciting. I will grant you that.
R2D2 is a chess player. He's a good one too, and he's way cooler than.
No, he's not. He's not. What? He beeps. He beeps. He shoots lightsabers out of his head. He zaps like he's Yoda. Dude. What did R2D2 do?
He did everything. He
ran the staring at me right now, like, what the hell are you talking about? She's giving me a look over there.
Mm-hmm.
but no, I mean, honestly, I watched a little bit of Rebels. I really like the characters of Rebels, and so I never watched the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, kind of enjoying this. I like Grand Admiral Thrawn. I love the fact that in this show he's been exiled for years, and he has this whole like contingent of troopers who are almost they almost have a deifying look to him, like that he's this great organizing force. He's something to look towards. They've almost become feral, almost become like their own pagan, religion of.
There's zombie stormtroopers. He has zombie stormtroopers that have ribbons. It was a little silly, but hey, what about the blues though? You like to listen to the blues?
I love the blues, except for the blaster blues, which is not really blues.
There's no blue. There's not a shred of blues in this.
There's no blues in this. There is a scat man in this. There's no blues. There's a dude who plays jam band tunes. There's no blues.
No blues. So
he's pretty happy, actually.
Yeah. Nobody was sad in this one either. But
Blaster Blues.
This one's written by Larry Strauss.
Yes.
Okay, so this dude. Okay, so he's written episodes in the past, but which totally glazed over last time we talked about him. Did you unlock the secret of this guy this time?
I did.
Okay.
But what do you know?
Okay, so in his credits are 4 episodes of Transformers. This is the second one out of 4. He's also got the first was one of the Ultimate Doom episodes.
Yeah, part 1.
Right, but I mean that's the only toy ad credit that he has. So that's probably why we glazed over him last time. But he also has a couple of episodes of 227 and Facts of Life on his resume. Okay, so we've talked about 227 before, and I love 227. and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and like Amen and Mama's Family. I like those shows.
Facts of Life.
Facts of Life, but see, those were beat. Well, not so much Facts of Life. That's a little before 227 and all that. I'm gonna get to.
Oh yeah.
Give me a second. I'm gonna get to Facts of
Okay,
Life.
go for it.
So those were like B tier sitcoms, and they factored real pretty heavy into my watching, because they came after the era of like those big heavy hitters like Who's the Boss and Growing Pains and Cosby Show, and then because there was a little gulf, and then Seinfeld and Friends and all that stuff came out a little later on, right? And so yeah, but those shows were kind of they were the B tier of that little between thing there. It's a fun show, but Facts of Life though. So that show was an absolute staple of my early like 6, 7, 8 years old, TV watching, especially when I was at my grandparents' house, which is weird because Facts of Life had a lot of very special episodes. They dealt with a lot of stuff like drugs and like pregnancy and runaways and this kind of stuff. And my grandparents were very religious and very conservative, and I'm surprised it flew. But my grandma, like literally every time the credits of that show would roll, my grandma would every time Blair would come on, she would just go, "She's purty." She's purty. She's so purty every time. And I'm like 7. And I'm like, I guess, I don't know. She's kind of mean. Joe seems real cool.
Joe's cool.
Tootie seemed very cool too. Tootie was cool. Super cool. So but
yeah, so I gotta say though, real quick, like, man, there was a time, I don't know, it came out after the Cosby Show, I think 227. It's one of those things, like, it was a time where we didn't care that sitcoms were black families or like Neighbors, because it was just fun. It was
fun shows, yeah.
Oh, it was great. Was it Rhonda?
On 227?
Yeah. Well, who's the very, like done.
That was I can't remember her name on that, but she was played by Jack A. was the actress.
Yes, it's Jack A.
Yeah. She was
awesome.
Was
so much fun.
Sandra. I think her name was Sandra.
Not Rhonda. Sandra. She say it like that. Hold the A. Sandra. Right.
Yeah.
She was like all done up. She's very 90s outfits, like suit jacket things.
Oh, she probably went to a lot of Expose concerts.
Oh, Expose was probably one of her big jams.
Yeah, dude. She was big.
Sandra was great. I mean, the whole cast, it was a fun show. So I was actually really I showed my wife a little bit of an episode. She's like, I don't remember that at all. I was like, God, okay. Well, it was maybe it was my time. It was before her time. I don't know. But it was a great show. So I really kind of miss those sitcom days of the late 80s,
The cool thing with those shows is they were good. They were just good enough,
Yeah.
And it's like everything now is like has to be like great, and anything that's not great just falls between the cracks, and it gets forgotten about. It's like you turn on the TV and you're like, oh, cool, 227. I'll watch a little bit of this. But
I would watch episodes of 227 right now if I could find it streaming right now, because it was just a fun show.
I can probably guarantee you that it is on Tubi or Pluto, because I'm pretty sure that every TV show ever has its own channel on those, and you can just tune in anytime and watch live episodes. But
I think that. Well, I'm sorry.
I was
going to say the last great sitcom, really, which I hate to say this, was Home Improvement. It was one of the last great sitcoms, like that style
of sitcom.
Yeah,
where like non-serialized sitcoms.
Yeah, you like the Cosby Show, you like 227, you like Different Worlds, a little more college, but yeah. Anyways, I'm sorry to interrupt you there a minute ago.
Oh, but anyway, so our guy Larry Strauss though wrote an episode of what show was that? Facts of Life. I was like Facts of Life. I had so many sitcoms in my head. He wrote an episode of Facts of Life, but so it turns out that he has an even deeper connection to that show because his mom was Mrs. Garrett.
No way!
Like his real life mom is Charlotte Rae.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and
that's crazy.
Yeah, so you didn't unlock the secret of Larry Strauss then. So
Mrs. Garrett has been referenced in Family Guy for
yeah, exactly. So but also his dad, to make it even cooler, his dad was a film composer. And he did a lot of music editing for TV shows and movies and stuff. Worked a lot with Woody Allen. His big thing though was he composed he wrote the theme for Car 54 Where Are You?
Man,
featuring our man Fred Gwynn from
man, I love that. I love My wife actually loves Pet Cemetery for Fred Gwynn.
He's great in that. He's so good.
Yeah, he is the nicest person. What I understood was the nicest person. I mean, I watched him in the Monsters growing up too. I actually caught Car 54. Where are you on Nick at Night late?
Oh, that was a staple of Nick at Night.
Yeah,
Nick at Night.
Car 54. Where are you?
Yep.
Yes.
So Larry Strauss's dad wrote that theme. So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So we get in. So let's so the episode starts and
Okay.
we get an amphitheater with this band, and buddy, these guys are rocking, dude. This singer is straight out of the band Manowar. Like
I was gonna say Jackal, but Manowar is probably more appropriate.
God, he's jacked. This dude is like, he probably walked out on stage carrying a sword, and he is absolutely shredding this atonal guitar solo. And what's even more impressive is that his left hand, his fret hand, is up in the air, fist pumping like a champ, but he's still playing the solo with the one hand.
This actually calls back to we were talking about a Black Flag with atonal guitar riffing.
It was, yeah,
it sounds like it's a song, but you can never replicate this.
You can't replicate that. It's just he's just playing random notes, dude. Yeah. But there's this lumpy dude playing the drums. It looks like a Zentradi from Robotech. There's a guy. There's a guy yellow tights and a tank top with Vegeta's haircut playing the bass. I think the guy playing keyboards is just a truck driver or something. I can't.
He was probably a drifter. He found him.
But okay, but here comes the most unrealistic part in all of the Transformers, like all of Transformers so far. This is okay. So, all right, so these kids are watching this show. These dudes are just rocking. It's like this 80s like arena, like sort of metal hard rock stuff, and it's like sweaty dudes playing music like they did back then, and like these dudes are they're like pointing guitars at people's faces, that move, and you make the face when you're like shoulder to shoulder, and like nobody has any sleeves on. It's like you either have a muscle shirt, or you have a tank top, or you have a mesh shirt, or you just have no shirt. That's how bands worked back then.
As you would describe our friend JB, he needs no sleeves.
Yeah, these dudes have no sleeves on, period. Yeah. And but then these guys are just like rock. I mean, there should have been like sparks flying out of the stage for these guys. Yeah. But you pan out to the crowd, and dude, there's like these kids are just like sitting there, and they're like legs are crossed, and like they're wearing like polo shirts and stuff. There's like one schlub out there with his arms crossed. He's wearing glasses. He's just like meh, like, and these dudes are just like completely rocking out, man. And like so like, and this dude had no desire to be there. Reminds me of like last year I saw the band Ghost and
I'm jealous of.
Yeah, I saw them and Mastodon last year.
Oh my god.
But there was this group of goons a few seats down from us, and they had zero joy. They were like, these guys were just sitting there like scrolling on Twitter, and they're just like face in their hands, like watching these, like, I guess we're gonna watch this band do a saxophone solo and kill a dude on stage, and like,
oh my god. Look,
it was like they were, dude.
We've gone to locally, because we live here in Auburn now. We've gone to Atlanta to watch Flogging Molly, and I enjoyed that show, except for the people who wanted to start a mosh pit next to me. I'm like, dude, no, I'm like in my 40s, don't start. And I realized that because I'm in my 40s, I should have gotten seats up in the stands. You got to sit there and enjoy it. Yeah, I didn't realize this at the time. Then I saw Fleet Foxes, which was awesome, and it was like there was like folk moshing next to us. But it's one of those things. Like, if I was at this show, I would be up in the stands, and I would be like annoyed at Spike next to me, doing this white guy dance.
Oh, he starts dancing. But see, here's the thing gets unrealistic though. It's like, in addition to these guys that are just bored of watching this band, they pan around, and like, so all these guys are sitting down in their seats. Everyone's sitting down, but there's like 2 chairs worth of space between each seat, and there's no arena in the world that's going to miss out on revenue by like giving you space to sit.
You're getting almost biblical with the person next to you who you can't stand because they smell like old sweat in McDonald's.
You got to fight over these over the like the armrest and all this stuff, and like
it's not realistic at all.
No way. There's no way. There's no way. So,
yeah.
So yeah, and Spike's doing a 3 frame animation dance loop, and that's really, he's just kind of jerking back and forth, and that's awesome. But
Yeah.
we pan to space, and there's what's this
Cosmos
guy's
is
name?
digging this.
Cosmos is bootlegging the show.
No, actually, Blaster is bootlegging it out to everyone.
Bootlegging the show,
And
and
Cosmos is like, I'm into this, man. He's like enjoying the jam band. Like, okay, it looks like Warrant met Manowar, and maybe a little bit of like 80 Judas Priest. And they're playing like they are playing like a jam band.
dude,
And
it's
it's
just
just dun 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 dun, and Cosmos loves this stuff, man. He is into this.
yeah, Blaster liked it. Everybody liked it. Yeah.
Except the other Autobots, except for Jazz and their skanking, man. Jazz is like, yeah,
I know. Jazz was at like a specials concert or something over here, like the way he was dancing.
He is pulling a full-on skank move in there when the other Autobots are holding their ears. Yeah,
dude, it's
so
too loud. It's too, like, nobody found a volume knob in this entire place. The Autobots are just they're holding their ears like they're gonna start bleeding out of their ears. It's like they're like turn on Nickelback or something, and that's how upset they are.
So before this, Optimus was like, he's like doing a whole like test thing, and Omega Supreme is like, Omega Supreme, always prepared. Which is
okay.
Yeah.
Is this the first time we've seen Omega Supreme?
I think so.
I think it is. I don't even know who this guy is. Like, I have no memory of this guy. I thought this guy was the guy that turns into a city.
No, he turns into like a battle station, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So actually, the cool thing about Larry Strauss is he was the person who actually created his like distinctive speech pattern. Like he speaks without any kind of conjunctions. He just speaks like subject, predicate, subject, action, verb. He doesn't use any other words in his speech until there's a later episode where he kind of explains why that is. But Larry Strauss started this speech pattern. And actually, he also did a speech pattern with there's another later episode with Bruticus where he does the Revenge of Bruticus. He kind of like does this distinctive speech pattern with these different characters. So he basically wrote the Bible in the way this guy talks.
That's his one trick, is giving people weird speech patterns. That's all he's got.
Yeah, hey. But he also wrote 227, so I'm good with it.
Wrote 227, and you take the good, take the bad, take them both.
There you have.
Lots of life. So he sounds kind of like Andre the Giant in The Princess Bride.
Does.
A little bit. That's what he reminded me of.
Hulk Hogan, friend.
He did sound like lady. That's yeah.
That's so I was listening to a podcast today. It's one of the ones I listen to a lot. As a at AHC. I'm not gonna say the word on there because we're trying to be clean here.
Sure.
But they're talking about, like you mentioned, like Andre the Giant, how he actually has the record for having most beers in a one sitting, like 167 beers. And you see him holding a Coors Light can. It's like the size of a battery in his hand. So
they're tiny. Yeah, his hands were massive. Dude.
Anyways,
so we've got some scientists doing some random science stuff that's not really going to matter in 3 minutes. They're working on this big. They're working in this big round thing that eventually would get stolen and repurposed by Krang from Ninja Turtles, and this has become the Terrordrome down the line here. That's their science lab they're working in.
Dude, I love this because he goes like, there must be some life out there to be contacted. I'm gonna use my Voltronic Galaxer to contact life, because we're like, he says we're a speck on the arm of the Milky Way. Does he not realize that there have been robotic aliens living on the planet? Because apparently they're not really low profile. He's a scientist. I would think a scientist would be all over this.
You think that, but I guess maybe he thinks that Autobots are a liberal conspiracy and won't.
Actually, his quote is, "My Voltronic Galaxer will scramble my words into pulsations, enabling alien life to translate them to their own language." So he serves a form letter to may concern.
Yeah, so yeah, and of course, but it's if anyone on Earth starts doing science stuff, who shows up?
The
Well, the Decepticons are gonna show up and steal it. And what are they like? What are they gonna do with it? What are they gonna do with it, dude?
Well, spoiler alert, they're going to take over the Earth.
We'll get to that though. But they said they break in, they steal this thing that looks like a giant pencil, and
It does,
they
actually.
load it up, and we finally get to see Astrotrain. This is the first time I think we've seen Astrotrain.
It is actually, and he's the only one of the only times I've seen him actually going down train tracks.
I don't understand why he's in the train tracks. Why don't you just fly the space shuttle and just load it up there?
Because he's a triple changer. You need to see all three modes.
Yeah, you see all three modes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is a toy selling episode. You
That's-
have
yeah,
Omega
it's-
Supreme,
yeah.
you have Astrotrain.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, they load him up, and but like Astrotrain, I guess, is like their space taxi, kind of like how Jetfire, Skyfire, whatever you call it.
Well, yeah, Skyfire, and then Omega Supreme becomes, because Skyfire is now gone. He's not in the episodes anymore, so it's
Ever
not going
again?
to be
He's
Omega
totally
Supreme.
gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he
I mean, I
shows
guess
up on an episode. He does a flyby an episode, but he's gone.
Okay. Were they still selling the toy at this point? I guess they were. I mean, it's only been like
So
maybe a year since
yeah,
he first showed up, but I mean, no. Okay.
I think so. But still, Omega Supreme is a new space taxi. So the Decepticons, to their credit, actually keep spoiler again, keep Astrotrain as the space taxi for a very long time.
He's cool,
But,
and he's
yeah.
purple. He matches their stuff. Yeah.
He's very sassy too when he talks.
He's a little, yeah, he is. He is very sassy.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
We're actually going to see him in another episode written by Larry Strauss called Triple Takeover, which is a funny episode. God.
Oh yeah. All right. Does it have 2D in it? Because I'll line up for 2D.
Man, it would have been so much better if it had 2D in it. God. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore about that episode because I want you to see how ridiculous it is.
Okay.
So yeah, they take it. They so they're back at the base, and like they can't get a transmission through Autobus. Sorry, because Blaster is still blasting his music, and Optimus Prime eventually tells him to shut up.
He's mad.
He's real mad
at Blaster. Yeah.
Optimus Prime never says shut up, but he does this time. He's like me yelling at the dog that lives like a house behind us and over to the left, telling him to shut up at 6 a.m. and starts barking. So that was Optimus Prime at Blaster. And Blaster is just like, hey man, I'm trying to bring you some good tunes.
He's like those dads you see in the store that's like lost patience with their kids, you know, and the kid like asking for stuff over and over again. But he's like, so he's checking on Prime's like checking on everybody at this point, and so he's sending everybody out on missions or whatever. And like Powerglide is like doing the spaz thing like over a harbor, and they talk about how like Carly and Spike are flying in Powerglide. They talk about how they've been flying all over the entire hemisphere, but they're just like doing the spaz loop around a harbor, and like I don't know what they're like. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here.
Okay, this is me. I think he is so. He bloviates everything he does. Like, you know, Powerglide's like, I do everything. I'm the best at there is. I think he just spins around and like makes it look like he does a lot of work. He doesn't do anything though.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
But dude, this was so good. So Blaster is hanging out inside of Cosmo. Cosmos is flying around in space, right? And he's flying towards the moon.
Yes.
So Blaster is like in the radio mode, like on the seat. I guess it's more comfortable to travel as a radio than as a robot.
Sure.
That. But so Blaster goes, man, talk about no place. I can't even get a bottom 40 station. And I'm like, where can I find a bottom 40 station? That's sign me up. That sounds like my kind of thing.
I would love that. That sounds like the best thing to listen to ever.
It does. And listeners, if you don't know what top 40 radio station is, then I'm going to go retire to my mummy crypt and die because I'm 1,000 years old talking about this. Did you listen to top 40? Did you listen to 40? Were you a top 40 fan back in the day? Did you listen to
listened to it. I mean, I don't know if a fan, but I did listen to it.
I did back before I discovered, like pointy guitars and dudes with mohawks. I mean, I listened to that stuff. Like, I don't know. That was cool jams on there. Like we had like 3 stations, like 3 good top 40 stations back in the day. But
it's probably that. I mean, but yeah, you'd have like, this is Casey Kasem, America's Top 40, before you had like MTV,
right? Yeah, I mean, were you
his presence?
Were you a Casey Kasem's top 40 or a Rick D's top 40?
Actually, I listened to both of them. Rick D was pretty cool. But I didn't catch it as often as I did Casey Kasem. Rick Dees was actually better, I think, but I didn't catch it as much.
Yeah, I think he probably was too, after, because I think Casey Kasem was getting old and kind of phoning it in. But but it was definitely like, it definitely seemed like the off-brand, the top 40. It definitely seemed like Casey Kasem was Twix and Rick Dees was like Summit Bar. Summit Bar.
Well, come on, man. Hey, look, dude. Casey Kasem is as a Cliff Jumper. Casey Kasem is Shaggy at this point, so
that's true. Yeah, he was working himself. He was spread thin.
He did a lot, actually. Yeah, he had a long career for different things. We don't always think about what he did, but yeah, he was pretty prolific. A lot behind the scenes things.
But he didn't have a single called Disco Duck though, and Rick Dees did, and that's very cool.
Yeah, I had that album.
Anyway, I'll sit here and talk about Disco Duck for like an hour.
Disco Duck. Oh my god. So yeah, though, so they're in like they're driving or flying. Jerry's flying towards the moon, and Cosmos turns off his engines and coasts in to the moon because all those air currents are going to bring him right in with this very aerodynamic form. So
that actually would work. That actually would work. I believe that's how the Apollo landers, because it just basically orbited and just did like a decaying orbit. It would work. I mean, it's not, you're not gonna glide. You're not gonna glide in, but I mean, I think it. Well, yeah, I think it would.
Well, yeah, so he visited Gulf Breeze in the 80s, but so yeah, he pulls in and he lands right outside the window, and all the Decepticons look over, and there's Cosmos hanging out on the ledge. And would you go take care of this? Astrotrain's like, I got this, and takes off and uses a tractor beam.
He's got a tractor beam.
Pull it in.
He's got a tractor beam. This is great.
This is so much 50s sci-fi, like spaceship stuff. Is great.
This was I love that they were being sneaky and they just park right outside the window and look at that. Hey, there he is. Get him. and Astrotrain was parked outside too. They don't let him inside. Like, just reiterates the role as the taxi. But so
you leave him the stable.
We've got some real world factors have crept into this episode here. So Megatron has this device, the Voltronic Galaxer. So he's disrupted all radio communication on Earth, right? And so basically the first thing you see with this is him making chaos at airports, and planes can't land, and the air traffic controllers are losing their minds. And this episode was I think came out about 3 years after the Patco strike. Do you know about the
I remember it. I don't know a lot about it.
Basically, the air traffic controllers went on strike in 1981. And demanded safer work conditions, and they wanted like a shorter work week and better conditions too, so they weren't working 80-hour work weeks and exhausted and crashing airplanes and this kinds of thing. And so they went on strike about this, and Ronald Reagan fired all of them. And thanks again, Reagan. Thanks again, Reagan. So
every day that goes by, I learn more about what Reagan did during those years. So anyways, go on.
The subdivisions on Ronald Reagan. So yeah, I think this was this may have been a subtle nod to that. Well, we got some more mass chaos in other places. We've got a train. They're gonna do driving a train that this guy looks like a World War I fighter pilot. The Red Baron flying this. He's driving a train, and there's some dudes that are trying to get a tree off of the tracks, and because the radio's out, they can't radio this train and tell them there's a thing. So I don't think that a train would have much bearing on I don't think it would care much about a tree laying over the tracks. Because it's like an old looking train. It's got like the big cow catcher thing on the front.
Yeah, it should be able to. I mean, it's not like a penny on the tracks. It's a tree. It should be able to push that off at some point.
Yeah, I've watched enough videos of cars being on tracks and trains just demolishing these cars. So I don't know. If we got any conductors out there, hit us up, edhatestransformers@gmail.com. Let me know what you think about train versus tree.
By the way, I want to jump in here real quick. I want to read one of our listeners sent us an email this past week, and we'll read it at the end of the show. Jehu, you know who you are. It was the best email ever. Anyways, let's go on to the end of this episode. That's at the end of the episode, by the way. So you have to stay to the end to hear it.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay a voice actor for the Red Baron though, and all he does is have a shocked face as he jumps out of the train. And those two tree cutter guys ask him if he's okay, and he just sits there and looks shocked some more and says nothing. But oh god, here we go. Here come the safety bots.
Red Alert has he is like almost making up the fact that he was such a tool in that one episode, Auto Berserk. He's like, there's always a fire somewhere. Something along those lines. He
does say there's always a fire somewhere. And then they transform, they're going to put it out, and he goes, I'll knock out the fire. And so his master plan to put out a fire is to shoot lasers, which are superheated light, at trees, which are extremely flammable. So his plan to put out the fire is to shoot heated things at things that are going to catch on fire. Way to go, buddy. Dude, this guy is the worst. Like, once again,
he's so bad.
Oh god hell.
He's like the guy who can't shut up. You want him to shut up because we need the professionals working, and he's like, oh, I'm going to give my opinion because I am smarter than everyone else. Everyone should listen to me. And that's
so you're saying that he's Grand Admiral Thrawn, basically.
Oh, dude, don't even. I finally got I finally have a villain that doesn't have to be a Dark Lord of the Sith to appreciate. Though I did appreciate the Fallen Jedi who was in there, but he was really cool.
That guy actually was.
It was really cool. I hated it. He passed away before.
I saw that. That's
it sucks. But anyways, I like Grand Admiral Thrawn. Let's move on. I don't know about Timothy Zahn. He may be a good person. I don't know, but I whatever.
I met Timothy Zahn actually. He and his wife were both very nice. When I was working at booth at a convention, they came through and I bought something. They were actually very nice. I don't like what I read of his, but what I did like though was we go somewhere cold and there's Garfunkel is working on a TRS-80 trying to get the weather report.
Dude, that's the best thing.
Dude, okay, so he can't get the weather report because the radio's out, right?
Yeah.
Even though he's using an 80s computer, which would not have been connected to radio at all. But he gives up and he looks outside and sees that it's snowing and goes, well, I guess it's a snowstorm. I guess he used the me version of checking the weather. So I guess I'll just go outside and see how it feels.
You know, these cars are like in snow and stuff because there's no like alert that was going to happen because people apparently don't realize a blizzard's coming. They're driving.
Why can't they look outside and see the same thing?
They're not
idiots. And people like they have to just constantly get commands from the radio to drive their cars. They do apparently, and we'll get to that in a minute.
I love that Chris Christopherson bot was out there to use his force field. You need a little force, buddy.
He said he did. He saved the guy from an avalanche. But there's a car that's in the snow. He's driving off of a cliff. Mm-hmm. Because the radio's out because he doesn't have any radio. I guess he can't listen to Chris Christopherson and does to the sweet jams of Chris Christopherson and
play with that. That is good stuff.
But the thing is that so he drives off the edge of the cliff because the radio's out. But it's the guy driving it looks a lot like Tom Waits from Scrooged. The hat. You haven't seen Scrooged?
I've seen Scrooged. Tom Waits in Scrooged.
Yeah, he was the cab driver.
No, it's not Tom Waits.
Buddy, I bet you.
I will bet you money. I've watched that more recently. That is not Tom Waits. I will bet you money on that one. I had to drop the F-bomb. I was about to say to you, I guarantee you, I looked the actor up because I liked him. No, that is not Tom Waits. I can see why you would think that, buddy. I am telling you right now, Scrooged. Look it up. Look it up. That is not Tom Waits. Pull him up. Besides, that guy did not have a gravelly voice. He didn't talk like the Cookie Monster enough.
Oh, it's not Tom Waits. All right, my bad.
Yeah.
I could have sworn that was Tom Waits. I would have gone to my grave thinking that was Tom Waits.
I have blown your mind today. It's not Tom Waits, but I like the cab driver is great. We like Scrooge a lot. So, anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to crush you there, man.
God, now I'm taking the big L in this episode, huh? But hey, so back in the day, speaking of top 40 radio, back in the
Yeah.
day, and the fact that we had three stations, because we had like 97 FM and like 100.5 FM and then 100.9 FM, and they were all top 40 stations. They all basically played the same stuff. So it's like, you know, if a song came on you didn't like, you'd be like I was mostly a 97 guy, but I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear this song, so I'm gonna flip over, see what's over here. Maybe there's a better song over here. So but yeah, so like one time I was on my home station and Fresh by Kool and the Gang came on. Wasn't a huge fan of Fresh. Like I like Kool and the Gang, but that song was like I was like you remember that song though, right? It was
I do, but I love some Cool Gang. Some
I like Kool and the Gang. That song was a rare I don't like a miss. It's just kind of mid, but
yeah, I guess.
But you ever see the video for that song though?
I don't remember the video for that song.
Dude, okay, so this video is like an 80s nightmare. So it is this weird mashup of like Marilyn Monroe, but she's Cinderella. And like going to the ball is like going to the Kool and the Gang concert. Like she wants to go meet the singer who is not cool because Kool is the bass player. But there's a weird scene where like when the evil stepmothers are being mean to Cinderella and making her clean up and everything, they're eating barbed wire sandwiches.
What?
They're eating barbed wire sandwiches. Like the evil stepsisters are eating barbed wire sandwiches. It is like the weirdest thing.
I will tell you that like my favorite Cool and the Gang song is "Summertime Madness."
Summertime Madness.
Summer Madness. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying to find the song right now because I like it so much. I know this the tune. I could hear it, man. Oh,
what about Hollywood Swinging? That was a good one.
Yeah, it was good. But Summer Madness.
So anyway, so this one time I was listening to the radio and Fresh by Kool and the Gang came on. And I was like, I don't want to hear this song again. So I'm gonna switch on the switch station over to 100.5, and guess what was on 100.5? Fresh by Kool and the Gang was on.
Yes,
and I was like, oh man, well, let's go over to 100.9, and guess what was on 100.9? Fresh by Kool and the Gang was on, right? So I was like, well, let me go to the soul and R&B station because sometimes they play hip hop. I go over there. Guess what song was on the station? Fresh by
Kool and the Gang.
Kool and the Gang. Fresh by
Kool and the Gang was Cool in the Gang.
Kool and the Gang on the same song on 4 stations at the same time. I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm totally mystified here. But here's the thing though, is that is just Megatron's plan for this episode, is to be on all stations at the same time.
It is.
That's his whole thing.
That's exactly
like I'm broadcasting on all stations. So he wants to be cool and the Decepticons the gang.
Dude, I would be 100% with the Decepticons if it was Cool in the Gang. Because dude,
if it was cool, if it was Cool in the Gang, if it was Hollywood Swinging or Jungle Boogie, I'd be all right with that.
Yeah. Whatever Smurfs Cool in the Gang.
So I went to just to refresh my memory because I haven't heard it in probably 30 years. I listened to Fresh by Kool and the Gang today.
Really?
And and it's not that great still. But however, I want to indulge you in some YouTube comments real quick here though.
Oh, please, by all means.
If you ever go back and listen to any music that's a little bit older, you will invariably see these types of comments.
Okay.
Real music at its best doesn't get much better than this. Yes, it does. It absolutely gets better than this. This wasn't even the best song that came out that week. Dang, this is the highest level of soul music from the 80s that you can get. No, it isn't. No, it absolutely is not. After 40 years, this song still sounds fresh. Oh, that's awful. That's terrible. Still sounds fresh and 99% better than most of today's popular songs. I don't know about that. But here's this, but see, that's every comment is they don't make music like this anymore. Like, yes, they absolutely do. But this one, though, is the best, though. This is from a guy named Sergey. Respect from a white man to all black people. Oh, thank you for your culture, music, charisma, positivity, and talent in everything.
Okay.
A man typed that out in all caps and threw that up.
That's good. That's good stuff. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you, white guy. I mean, I'm gonna send you a link to Summer Madness. That is the coolest, jammiest. I don't know. It's just so good, man. I could listen to that thing on loop during a nice like afternoon in the summer on the beach. Yes. But so yeah, we have Megatron pulling a Kool in the Gang.
Mm-hmm.
And basically he's controlling the airwaves and all the entire planet. Sparkplug, we're on top of everything. The whole planet? We're talking major catastrophe. What are we gonna do? Everyone at once goes transform and roll for it. Like they're cutting Optimus Prime off.
They already knew it was coming.
We know what we're gonna do. Just don't even say it. We got this.
Transform and roll out. Yeah.
But yeah, so Carly and Spike are with Paraglide flying around, and the Paraglide starts to run out of fuel. So what do? I thought they went like, we got these jetpacks back here. I thought they're going to fly off and crash. No, they put a jetpack on the side of Paraglide and start flying him with the jetpack.
Yeah, that was really weird. And right after that, it was right around that same time though. They're trying to like get a signal on where Blaster is, because Blaster is broadcasting at this point.
Yeah,
and so to do this, Carly puts a credit card in the instrument panel.
She does.
And I guess you have to pay to use the radar in Powerglide. Is like microtransactions have always been with us. I guess they've
from the beginning, yes.
Yep.
I don't know who found Carly. I don't know. So I don't think Spike actually met her. I think she learned that Spike was involved in the Autobots. So this is her way in. So she's like the honeypot. She's trying to get in there, and she is the most capable human so far. She fixes Autobots. She fixes Dinobots. She uses her credit card to run some checks on where Blaster is, and Blaster's playing the same jam band. Jackal, Krokus.
He's still
music.
playing Krokus. He's still playing Keel.
She's like, oh, there he is. He's on the moon. What?
Like, yep. All right.
I love this too. Like, so Astrotrain, we gloss over this. Astrotrain takes Cosmos and Blaster and welds them in place. So they're sitting over there like with these like these metal straps over them, and Blaster has his hands free. He's like, I'm gonna hit play. And so he's transmitting this pirated signal, and they all kind of hear it. And Megatron's like, "What's going on?" He looks over, and Blaster's like, "Hey," he's like, "What's up, man?" The play button is pushed down, and so he goes over. He punches Blaster. Blaster's still gonna be music, man.
So is that concert still going on, or did he like record it? And he's like.
He's just recording. He's pirating music, man.
He's bootleg. He bootlegged.
He was a ghetto blaster. He recorded things coming in from that concert, and yeah, he's just playing that music back. And
nobody wants to hear it. Like
no one does.
Nobody wants to hear this stuff. No.
Megatron's like, I'm gonna, I can't remember what he said. He basically says, I'm gonna shoot you and kill you and whatever. It's Blaster. He said it in some very Megatron kind of way.
Yeah.
So he's getting ready to shoot him in the face, and all of a sudden there's a laser blast. And Megatron stumbles over, and Blaster saved for the moment. And they all look up through this giant hole in the ceiling, and you just see Omega Supreme just flying by.
Yeah, where did that hole come from? Was he like bombarding the dome or something?
So. Oh, by the way, before this even happened, so they go, they assume this completely. Paraglide, they take Paraglide with the jetpack and they fly him over. They get they close enough to Omega Supreme. And Optimus Prime is really hurt, so she gets like random diodes and puts them in his chest, like it's gonna fix him. And then apparently Omega Supreme has a triage unit inside his rocket. She like has this table that goes up and like pulls Optimus Prime into the rocket. Why we're taking an injured guy to the battle, I don't know.
Taken to the battle, so, yeah. Like he has an escalator also. That was pretty cool.
He does. He has a great guy, and apparently somewhere there is a quick change for spacesuits for humans.
Yeah, they go into space. Oh, the hard-boiled line that Megatron says is "equalize this."
Oh yes,
so do you think did the Equalizer ever say that? Do you think the Equalizer? Remember that show?
He should have. I remember that show. There was a movie. Denzel Washington did those movies also.
There's like 3 of them, I think. That. Well, there's a remake of the series also with Queen Latifah.
Oh, really? Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen any of those, but I would catch the Equalizer sometimes.
Yeah. I watched that a bit when I was younger. Yeah,
who was in that show?
Yeah, I remember watching that show. But the thing is, there was a really missed opportunity for a Arnold Schwarzenegger version of the Equalizer where he was like, "Equalize this." That would have been perfect.
Yeah,
That would have been such a great
man.
catchphrase.
Well,
But dude, okay, so they get inside, they're going up the escalator, and Carly goes, I've never been to the moon. Dude, she went to Cybertron last week.
but yeah, she's never been to the moon though.
Well, yes, I know, but it's like this moment occasion. And so yeah, so they're going to go to the closest neighbor, but she went through like across the galaxy to Cybertron, to a world of giant robots that want to, like, I guess, disintegrate the pylons and stuff while they chase you around. And you have paragliding there. It's like bang, zoom to the moon. So once again, he's showing that he is a what's his face? What's the actor's name? He is Honeymooners.
Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason, like, yeah, his voice is just Jackie Gleason really badly done. So yeah, they go to the moon. Yeah, but anyways, fast forward to where we saw he's like, equalize this, and so there's a shot from Omega Supreme through the ceiling, and the Omega Supreme just like, hi guys, he goes past the hole and lands.
Yeah, just lands like vertical, like a SpaceX rocket.
Yeah.
He lands like
And dude, so Astrotrain's like, I got this. He runs out, and what is it? He says, like, I think this guy needs a little training. He turns into a train. He hits Omega Supreme in the back of the foot.
Of the foot. He's okay. So there was a point where he was huge, and like the Decepticons were getting inside of Astrotrain. They were riding inside of him, and then like the same thing with like Omega Supreme. But like now he's like super tiny, like the scale, like the scale flop in this was just like, whoa, like he's like real little. So but then he transforms and he's the same size as like Megatron.
Yeah. Why? Well, Megatron becomes a gun, man. What do you was this?
Yeah, I know I said a while back I wasn't going to bring that up anymore, but this was a kind of real glaring like example of that.
What happened though? You just lied. I don't appreciate that.
No, I didn't lie. I lied in the past. I didn't lie just now.
Okay, I'm sorry. So
I lied 10 episodes ago. 15 episodes ago. How long ago?
Yes. All long in the past.
It's in the past, yeah.
So yeah, Optimus Prime comes back. He's all rare to go now, because apparently this diodes that Carly put in his chest.
Yeah, it's fine.
Fixed him. I want to go get like some old I'll go to an antique shop and find some like glass tube fuses and put them in a robot and make them work.
Yeah,
it works. What she did. Yeah, she's like, well, this will fix you.
Sure.
And yeah, it's fine. They a little fight the moon, and
yeah, then we have like a big like a brawl between Optimus Prime and Megatron, and honestly, it was like, as much as I'm always excited to see those fights, I at this point I just didn't really care. I was like, all right, oh cool, it was a brawl, and and they kind of whip him and he runs away, and then they have the big like the big like ending, the denouement as it were, was just Blaster, you got to know when to turn the volume down.
Yeah.
That was the moral of the story, was
it's
okay to be loud, but you got to know how to be quiet sometimes.
Yeah, you can't always
voice
the jam bands.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all fun episode. There's a lot going on. There's so much going on that nothing ever felt resolved.
There was so much going on in this episode. It was just non-stop.
Yeah.
But this was a lot of fun though. I had a lot of fun watching this one. I had a lot of fun poking fun at it, but it was a pretty fun episode. I mean, you got Omega Supreme, who's you get a new guy, you get Astrotrain, who I think we're seeing for the first time.
So yeah,
because I'm pretty sure we've seen Blitzwing a couple times.
Yeah, we have.
This is the first time we're seeing Astrotrain, which is really cool. You get some silly stuff, you get some actually some pretty cool stuff, and I got to remember Kool and the Gang's video, and I got to see barbed wire sandwiches, which if you get a chance, you guys should check out the Kool and the Gang fresh video, because it's people eating barbed wire sandwiches. So all those things said, Adult Brain had a fun time with this one. Adult Brain's gonna go 3 very special episodes out of 5. Kid Brain had a blast with this, because it's just breakneck and non-stop, and it's total like a total ADD fest. It never stops, and so Kid Brain's gonna go 3.5 tooties.
Oh my god.
3.5 tooties out of 5. Yep.
Man, I gotta say that this is one of those episodes I say this a lot because there's so many episodes. I forget this episode a lot. I forget what it's about. So we said last week, like, oh, it sounds bad about last week's. Now this is a lot of fun, and honestly brings in Omega Supreme, which is a fine character, but he plays a lot of like roles later on. Astrotrain, who's on there for a long time, into season 3 and stuff. And I like him because Astrotrain is kind of this snarky jerk of the group. So I really liked it. A lot going on. I love the jam band. It's so ridiculous. I wish I could have seen Krokus play live like Spike and Carly did, but here we are. So yeah, man, honestly, this whole episode is a lot of fun. I want to give it like a, I agree with you actually. I'm going to give a 3.5 jam band pirate recordings out of 5. I like it. It's just a lot of fun. Nothing wrong with it at all. But I gotta say though, real quick, I'm going to read this because our friend Boo of the Axel Underground, he described our friend Jehu as something like Paul Lind.
Paul Lind.
He look him up. You listen to his voice.
Okay.
He doesn't sound exactly like, but yeah, it cracked me up. So I'm going to read this email from Jehu, which I appreciate so much. Thank you so much for the email. Dear these guys, longtime listener, first time caller, unless you count the time when I was on the show. Really enjoyed the most recent episode, less because of the Transformers content and more because of the recognizing a couple of the Pensacola people y'all referenced. Anyway, the reason I'm reaching out is to find out if either of you tried the new Transformers 1 comic from Image, which I have, which is great. I mostly got as a fan of the artist's previous work, most notably Do a Powerbomb, which I absolutely love. I'm hearing a lot of diehard Transformer marks aren't digging it because they're wrong. I, who am right, think it slays. It's a great update to the original Crash on Earth story, without doing the dumb things most updates do. It doesn't try to make it realistic. It doesn't try to explain to the adults how a thing that doesn't need to make sense makes sense. Appreciate that. It just tries to make it more action-packed and awesome. If none of this sells you, then I've attached a pic of Optimus Prime giving Starscream a rear German suplex. I can hear Ed about to correct me that a rear is redundant, but I felt like it was more evocative to listeners not hip to the name of every wrestling move. Gordon Soley isn't listening to your podcast, Ed. He's dead. P.S. I was triggered when it sounded like y'all were about to go down the road of ragging on soap operas. You didn't, which is good. But no, I will leap to the defense of my favorite form of entertainment. Sincerely, Jason Elizabeth Hurt. Man, I appreciate that email. It was
that's my favorite email we've gotten so far. First of all, I would never trash talk soap operas because I'm on record as saying that I'm a big fan of the show Dallas, and also Falcon Crest. But Dallas is the king. Yeah, of course, Gordon Soley doesn't listen to the show. I don't think that Gordon Soley, even when he was alive, all he did was drink scotch and probably pass out a whole bunch.
Okay.
But yeah,
Jehu, we appreciate you though. That was great.
We
it made my day. Honestly, that email was so good.
But I just remembered that the taxi driver in Scrooged is actually David Johansen from the New York Dolls, aka Buster Poindexter, aka hot dude.
Dude, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
He's pretty awesome in that. So yeah. All right. I'll stop with that.
Hey, look, man. I will grant you this. Tom Waits has been a lot of weird stuff. He was in Bram Stoker's Dracula. He was in Risk Cutters: A Love Story. He's a lot of things. I always enjoy him when I see him in interviews. He's fantastic. That's why I'm like, I appreciate the homage because I could see why you would think that. Yeah, but anyways.
All right.
Anyways, guys, thanks so much. If you're not watching on YouTube, watch on YouTube. I'm gonna put a link in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to listen to us in the car, put us on the car. We're on all the major platforms. Join the Discord. Links in the show notes. Email us because we'll read your email and we will not shy away from saying your name, Jehu. Anyways, thanks to everyone for being here. Appreciate you all and have a great week. See you later.
Roll out.
Thanks. Morethanmeetstheseguys is performed by Evan Johns and Ed Strickland. Research is performed by Evan Johns, Ed Strickland, and with special research done by Boo of the AxelonUnderground.net. All used images in the videos are property of Sunbow, Hasbro, Paramount, or Marvel. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in every week with us. We appreciate it.
Everybody, action!
We're Cold Slither, you'll be joining us soon. A band of vipers playing our tune. With an iron fist and a reptile's hiss, we shall rule.
What is that idiot doing?
We've heard it before. We're not gonna play the game no more. Don't tell us what's right.
They are animals!
To resist, cause Cobra is strong.
Oh my goodness, we're going way over budget!
We're Cold
Barbarians!
Slither, heavy metal machine.
No, no, no!